Losing that man hurt me more than you know. But you know what? Just like I told you, I know he loves you guys. Just like he loves his coaching staff and his organization. And that man, that was a hell of a job by you, Michael Huff. Yes, sir. But I tell you this, Al Davis had his hands on that ball, man.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And the Raiders have come back home for what will be a day of tribute for the late Al Davis. Marv Albert along with one-time Raider Pro Bowl quarterback Rich Gannon. What is the approach of Oakland head coach Hugh Jackson for today's game?
Well, Marv, while they're still mourning the loss, the focus has to be on moving on and finding a way to get a win here today.
And for Cleveland, they come off a bye week. The record is 2-2. Head coach Pat Shurmur does not want his quarterback Colt McCoy throwing 61 times as he did in their last game that lost to Tennessee.
Yeah, they're not going to win many games doing that, and that's not really how they're built. They're built to hand the ball to this guy, Peyton Hillis, a bunch. Something tells me he'll be a busy man here today.
Raiders have won the toss. They have deferred. So the Browns will receive with the speedy Josh Cribbs back as the deep man. Sebastian Janikowski, who has been booming kickoffs, particularly from the 35-yard line. So Cribbs deep in the end zone, and this time it's a bouncer, and it's picked up by one of the up men.
It's number 20, Mike Adams.
Mike Adams on the return. And here comes Colt McCoy in his second year out of Texas.
Yeah, you know, you think about his second season, he's already having to learn a new offensive system. You look at the problems that Sam Bradford has had in St. Louis, he's going through the same thing. It takes time. Production and consistency is what he needs to focus on.
30-yard return by Adams on that unusual short kick by Janikowski. Peyton Hillis, the running back. And they swarm all over Hillis as he tried to go up the middle. Picked up a yard on the play. Desmond Bryant made the stop. Cleveland up front with Pro Bowl center Alex Mack, back from an appendectomy, played nearly the entire game against the Titans 2 weeks ago despite the appendicitis attack. And the Browns looking for a breakout game from Hillis, who's had an eventful start to the season in contrast to his performance a year ago. We'll have more on that as this game progresses. 2nd and 9 from the 40. Off the play fake. Well, McCoy feeling the pressure, looking for Massaquoi. Michael Huff, the free safety, put the pressure on.
Well, they're going to bring pressure. It's a second straight snap. We've seen pressure. Look at Michael Huff. Great job there by Peyton Hillis, keeping him off his quarterback. They were aggressive last week. They brought a bunch of blitzes versus Houston.
And they are a front line that gets their hands on throws. They had 7 tipped balls last week. 3rd and 9. Here they come. McCoy in trouble. Down he goes. Matt Giordano, who was a question mark after suffering that concussion a week ago against the Texans, making for a 10-yard loss.
Well, keep an eye. They're bringing pressure. They brought it 3 plays in a row. You get a good look at Matt Giordano. He comes clean right up the middle. Colt McCoy has nowhere to go with the ball.
3 and out. Here is Brad Maynard. Denarius Moore. And nowhere to go. Try to circle back and actually lost on the play. T.J. Ward coming up to make the stop. Beautiful punt, 54 yards. As we look at Jason Campbell making his way onto the field.
Yeah, he's taking on a bigger leadership role with this team this year, Marv. No longer looking over his shoulder. Clearly, he's the guy. This is his team. I think he's done a really good job cutting down on the mistakes. He doesn't make a lot, just 4 interceptions through 5 games.
For Campbell, his second year with Oakland, following 5 seasons as a member of the Redskins. The feature back, Darren McFadden, finding a hole, taking to the outside, and now taken down across the 35 by T.J. Ward. 24-yard gain for McFadden.
Well, coming right at you, you're going to look at the kick out on the left side. They love to run the ball behind Wisniewski and Valdir. Nice job by the fullback. And when Darren McFadden gets on the edge, he can be trouble for any defense.
First down at the Oakland 36. That's Moore in motion. McFadden. And he is bottled up. The Raiders' offensive line has played very well, allowing only 5 sacks in 5 games. Center Samson Sautelli will go following the rib injury suffered last week. Backs and receivers, it all revolves around the sensational 4-year man from Arkansas, Darren McFadden, coming into today, leads the NFL in rushing yardage. Second down and 7. McFadden gets close to the marker. Chris Gokon makes the stop, pickup of 6 here are the Browns defensively. Their base defense up front. Atama Rubin has played well. Recently signed a 3-year contract extension. The linebackers, D'Qwell Jackson, the Browns' leading tackler, AFC Defensive Player of the Month in September. Secondary, Dimitri Patterson starting at left corner for the injured Joe Hayden. Hayden, a key loss for the Browns, out with that sprained knee.
Looks like it's over.
It's a 3rd and a yard. Michael Bush joining Manasseh Tonga in the backfield. And a timeout is taken by the Raiders. Early timeout. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
45.
We are just underway here in Oakland. And the Raiders with a 3rd down and 1. Michael Bush has come on for Darren McFadden. Bush, the ball carrier, battling his way for a first down. Bush, the 4-year man out of Louisville, providing a change of pace for McFadden. Picked up 2.
Yeah, just when you think you've had enough of McFadden, they bring in a fresh back, a different type of back, and Michael Bush, bigger and stronger. And, you know, that's what they do. They just wear you down over the course of a game.
McFadden comes in averaging just under 6 yards per carry. Looks dominant as he did in college after appearing to shy away from contact his first couple of years. Here's Campbell going underneath and incomplete. Pass intended for Darius Hayward-Bay.
Marv, they run the ball so well that they get so many good looks based on the fact that they're going to get single safety in the middle of the field, corners pressed on the outside, and so you've got one-on-one coverage because of the production you get out of McFadden in the running game.
Second down and 10. Here's Campbell going sideline at the marker. The leaping grab is made by Jacoby Ford. It is spotted just short of a first down. It's a 9-yard pickup. Dimitri Patterson on the coverage.
Well, this is a good job by the quarterback, knowing that Joe Hayden not available today. Dimitri Patterson up, he gets a start, so you're going to go after him. Why not go after the 3rd corner? Really alert play by Jason Campbell.
McFadden and Tonga in the backfield. Tonga playing for the injured Marcel Reese. Inside handoff, it's Tonga fighting a hole and has a first down. Sheldon Brown able to get the reps on Manasseh Tonga. That's his first NFL carry. Richie's 5'11". He goes, well, he's listed at 245 pounds, promoted from the practice squad.
Well, they do a nice job. You get a good look at Hugh Jackson, the head coach, the play caller. He knows that in order for this offense to be successful, they've got to be able to get it done on the ground. That's how they're built. It's McFadden, it's Bush, and when you get tired of those two, then you get the ball to the fullback Tonga. He wants to run the ball 40 or 50 times today if they'll allow him.
Raiders first down of the Cleveland 32-yard line. McFadden getting the call. Tama Rubin makes the stop, picked up 4. Talking with Jason Campbell the other day after practice about his first meeting with Al Davis, and Jason said, you know, he was completely intimidated. He said Al talked about you, Rich, and Jim Plunkett, quarterbacks who came to Oakland, receiving a second chance, which is certainly the situation that Jason Campbell is facing.
Yeah, a great opportunity for him, Marv. When you think about this poor guy, first time as a pro that he's had the same coordinator and offensive system in back-to-back seasons.
2nd and 6. Campbell with a short set. Campbell incomplete. Good hit by Patterson to break it up. Pass intended for Moore. Jason Campbell also said from time to time Al would show him photos of former Raider players, and he was amazed because Al Davis would know every wife's name or the kid's name. Jason also said he felt a real bond with Al Davis. Said last season he called Jason at least once a week to check up on him, see how he might be doing at the time. Rich, did he do that with you?
Never.
That's
great. He called him every week. He never called me. Maybe he didn't like me as much as he liked Jason Campbell, but he's got a special one here. I think this guy's really got a chance.
3rd down and 6. Campbell's pass completed. Close to the marker, Jacoby Ford with the catch. It's an 8-yard advance, and it is a first down.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about all the change around Jason Campbell. 4 different offensive coordinators at Auburn. 5 different coordinators with the Redskins. Get a good look at this. He sits in there tall. Oh, this one, boy, that's close. Looks like he traps it, though, before it gets on the ground. It's always easier when you catch it the first time. Jacoby Ford coming off of an injury. This is a young, inexperienced wide receiving corps.
Bush is turned back. Michael Bush, met by Ataba Rubin, went for 4. Was churning away, but Rubin stopping his forward progress.
Yeah, I knew Hugh Jackson wasn't happy with last week's performance in the first half. They really struggled. You look at the success they're having today. The up-tempo, I think, is really good. They're getting in and out of the huddle. Hugh's getting the plays in quickly, and they're just running straight downhill.
2nd down and 6 at the Brown 17-yard line. They're lined up in the I formation.
340.
It's Moore in motion. McFadden trying to get to the outside. As he cut, he was taken down by the right corner, Sheldon Brown. McFadden picked up 4.
I think this is the best offensive line that they've had going back to about 2002. I've really been impressed with the overall play of this group. They're 2nd in rushing. They've done a good job protecting Jason Campbell. I mentioned he's only been sacked 5 times so far. Wisniewski Valdir on the left side. I think that's the strength of this unit. That's where they're running a lot of the balls, Marv, behind the left side.
Campbell looking at a 3rd down and 2. 13th play of this drive for the Raiders. And it looks like Campbell is calling for timeout. The Raiders have already used 2 timeouts.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Well, back here in Oakland, you could just see how upset Hugh Jackson was during the timeout. 2 timeouts already called. They're having communication issues. Timeout usage, game clock management. It's been a problem throughout the course of the season. They used their final timeout last week with 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
3rd down and 2 as we resume. Here's Campbell. Again at the marker. It's caught by the backup tight end, David Osbury, a rookie from Southern Cal. Picked up 4 on the play. And it is a Raider first down. Oakland has now had the ball for 6 minutes and
well, you look
50 seconds.
You look at the play action fake, and that gets the hold. They run the ball so well with the stretch play. Look at the reaction from the defense. You see Osbury, he just sneaks out to his left.
1st and goal at the 9. McFadden looking for the hole. Very tough to bring down. At 6'2", 210 pounds, he went for 5. Jabal Shear, the right defensive end for the Browns, made the stop.
And the great thing about this offense, as you study it, they run plays that look the same but are different. They just set that play up by the previous play where they faked that stretch action and then threw the ball back to the tight end. Now they come right back with it and hand it to McFadden.
Second and goal at the 4. McFadden. Touchdown. Darren McFadden takes it in from 4 yards away for his 5th touchdown of the season.
Well, they're just getting so much movement up front. You look at those black jerseys pushing them back. And McFadden, he's 3-4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage before he's even making contact.
Sebastian Janikowski for the extra point. Raiders with a 7-0 lead. And once again, the Cleveland Browns playing from behind. Got the midweek football blues. It says right here, Rich, I know you have experienced that on a number of occasions. Take an hour of NFL films highlights and analysis. It is a team position approved and commercial free inside the NFL Wednesdays on Showtime. What a drive by the Raiders. 15 plays, 88 yards. They had the ball for nearly 8 minutes. McFadden, 7 carries, 50 yards over that stretch.
That's demoralizing to a defense, that kind of drive.
This time, Janikowski with a power kick into the stands.
That would have been good. That would have been good from 70.
Back to Oakland in a moment.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by E-Trade, Investing Unleashed, and by Toyota.
Browns take over, 1st and 10 from the 20. There's Aaron Curry, acquired this past Wednesday from the Seahawks, and the Raiders wasting no time. He is in the starting lineup immediately. To the outside, Peyton Hillis. Usually you see Hillis running inside. This time he goes to the edge for 6.
Well, it's pretty clear to see what the Raiders want to do defensively. I think they play their best with that aggressive mentality. Do a good job bottling up Hillis, and then they bring pressure. You see Huff, and then Branch, and then Giordano. 3 straight snaps where they brought either the strong safety or the free safety. Cleveland's going to have to be able to adjust.
Second down and 4. Hillis picked up 3. Richard Seymour makes the stop along with Lamar Houston. It's been a rocky start to the season for Peyton Hillis following his sensational year. This season we've had strep throat gate, which led to Peyton sitting out a game. There were the contract issues. Peyton told us the other day, just wants to play. Talking with Colt McCoy, who was a close friend of Peyton's, Colt says we have not seen Peyton play the way he did last year, and Colt has been telling him, just go out and be yourself. Well, Hillis getting the opportunities on this drive. Browns take a timeout. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon, back in the Bay Area. It's a 3rd and 1 for the Browns from the 29. McCoy with the handoff. Hillis trying to slash his way, has the 1st down.
Well, you talked about Hillis's problems. I think it's time for him to cut it loose, Marv. He needs to put behind him all the criticism about his illness and about the contract situation and focus in on playing like he's capable of. You look at him the first 11 games, the last 11 games, the production just not there. And Pat Shurmur told us yesterday, this guy has to be more involved in the plan.
He has been getting the call here in the first quarter. Once again, Hillis trying to go to the outside, and he's hit back for a loss. Rolando McClain, the middle linebacker, with the tackle of Peyton Hillis.
Well, they've had problems with some perimeter runs. Take a look at how they're getting they're doing a good job containing and forcing a big back like Peyton Hillis to go east and west and not north and south. And you look at a lot of the problems that this run defense has had, it's come on the edge of the defense, outside. That's a big reason why they made the change to Aaron Curry.
Second down and 12 for the Browns. McCoy putting it up. It is broken up. Intended for Cribbs. Michael Huff, the free safety, able to get a piece of it.
Well, they're trying to get Josh Cribbs more involved in the offense. Just find ways to get him the ball in his hands. He's so big and he's so strong. They've really struggled, this Cleveland offense, throwing the ball downfield. Not a lot of explosive plays when you study the Browns.
The Browns in the midst of playing 3 of 4 on the road after opening the season with 3 of 4 at home. Oh, McCoy with a dangerous pass, threw it into a crowd, incomplete. Intended for Hillis, and McCoy feeling the pressure from Richard Seymour.
A really nice job. They show pressure, and then they bail out. And they brought so much pressure, and they actually have a screen pass called. You can see Hillis, he tries to sneak out, but Richard Seymour breaks it up. Boy, the Browns really struggling right now to find their rhythm offensively.
The punt team has come on. Brad Maynard back at his 15. Just did get it off. And Moore lets it bounce out of bounds, but a penalty marker is down. It is back near the punt.
Penalty flag on the play.
Got the word from the referee, Carl Cheffers. .320 remaining in this first quarter.
Kicker, number 56, defense, 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
Well, it's Darrell Blackstock called for running into Maynard.
Well, Ventrone leaves him alone. Blackstock's got a clear run at this. He almost blocked the first one, close on the second one. He just couldn't pull off. They've always had good special teams units here. They've got 2 of the better kickers in the game, and they have so much speed at linebacker and at cornerback. That's where the big special teams contributions come from.
So Maynard will punt again, this time from the 20-yard line. Brad Maynard, the 3rd punter for the Browns, following Reggie Hodges going down with an injury, and Richmond McGee suffering a herniated disc. It's a good one off the roll, gets inside the 15-yard line. So it's a 53-yard punt for Maynard. Tonight on CBS, this former NFL star can run the field, but can he dive the depths? A new amazing race in Thailand tonight, only CBS. We're referring to former Indianapolis Colts tight end Marcus Pollard, who these days is getting more publicity for the amazing race than he did for the sum total of his NFL career.
And it was a good one. He went to a couple of Pro Bowls. I know he's a good player for a long, long time.
Raiders start out at their 14-yard line. They have a 7-0 lead on the Browns. Campbell off a short set. Completes to Hayward Bay, who comes off a career performance. Patterson making the stop. It's good for 9. Darius Haywood-Bay. Last week, 7 passes for 99 yards, including a touchdown.
Yeah, I think he's made the biggest improvement since day 1 of training camp. That's what Al Saunders told. He's starting to really come into his own.
Big hole for McFadden, and then he's tripped up but has a first down. And Darius Haywood-Bay was a first-round draft pick of Al Davis, and for a while people were questioning it. This is his 3rd year out of Maryland. And it has taken a while, but he has come on.
Yeah, I think he's learning how to use his speed to his advantage. And, you know, with different players, it takes some time, but you're starting to see him play with some confidence right now, catching the ball away from his body.
First out of the 25, you see the motion and a flag thrown.
False start, number 87, offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That is called on the tight end, Kevin Boss.
And look at the penalties, Marv. They've continued to be an issue for this football team. You know, you look at it there. I mean, just they're on pace for 160 this season, and that would break the all-time record. That's got to get straightened out. The good news is I did see some local officials out at practice on Friday. That, to me, is important, making it a point of emphasis.
Off the play fake. Hayward Bay with a first down and more across the 40 and taken down by Dimitri Patterson, who's playing for the injured Joe Hayden. That's good for 21.
Well, just look how far off Dimitri Patterson is. You can't give a receiver like Darius Hayward Bay 10, 12 yards. I mean, look at the separation. He catches the ball, and Patterson's still 5 yards away. They're concerned about the speed. A guy like Darius Hayward Bay can go right by you.
Moore in motion. And Moore ends up with the football. Sheldon Brown makes the stop. Loss of 2. That did not work. Brown and Taylor combined. Now, Rich, are you saying that in your days with the Raiders you did not have officials?
No, we never did.
Occasionally?
I don't think that Al Davis wanted them there. And I would ask John Gruden, why don't we have officials out here? And what they're doing now is they're making the players accountable. When they make a mistake in practice, it's recorded, it's handed to Hugh Jackson, and they can talk about it. But the penalties continue to be a problem. 11 penalties last week. They're averaging over 10 a game.
Well, they have 52 for the season, which, as you mentioned, leads the NFL once again. Here's a deep drop by Campbell, but could not find anyone. He runs, gets to the 46-yard line and fumbles. Browns recover as time is running out in this opening quarter. Mike Adams, the free safety, on the recovery.
I think that might be a fumble, Marv. He goes head first, and I don't know that he's touched before that ball actually comes out.
The quarterback is going forward, did not give himself up, was not touched. Therefore, the ball is fumbled, recovered by the defense. Cleveland will take over here, first down.
That expression, giving himself up, alludes to a quarterback when he would slide.
Right, yeah, that's what he should have done. And it's not a natural thing for some guys, but that's just unfortunate. Jason, this is what I want to see of him more. Running the football, picking up some first downs with his legs. That's not his first thought normally, but he's very capable. But boy, you just got to be smart with the ball. You can't put it on the ground.
17 seconds left in the quarter. Montario Hardesty in the backfield. And McCoy to the left flat. Evan Moore, the tight end, picking up the first down, gets it to the marker, and that will do it for this first quarter. At the end of one here in Oakland, Raiders have a 7-0 lead on the Browns. Will return to the Bay Area after these words. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Out of the second quarter, the Browns, with their first completed pass, McCoy is now 1 of 4. And they have a first down at the Oakland 46-yard line. Hardesty, a very little running room. What are the problems for a team like Cleveland off a bye? If they win, you say, hey, they're well rested. If they lose, too much rest, they were lethargic. Well, they got clobbered by Tennessee 2 weeks ago. Then they have the week off, and here they are.
Well, I think it's always important to start fast coming out of the bye. And you look at this team, not historically a fast starting team under Pat Shurmur. Just 3 first-quarter points all season. Marvin, what they learned during the bye, they weren't consistent enough in terms of running the football.
Now Hardesty lines up as the flanker. Play action. McCoy throwing deep downfield. It is incomplete. Intended for Greg Little, who has worked his way into the starting lineup in front of Brian Robisky in a race with DeMarcus Van Dyke.
Well, this is what they want, the one-on-one matchups. They got the rookie Greg Little going against DeMarcus Van Dyke, making his first start, or second start. You've got to find a way to make this catch. You're going to get so many good looks because they're a heavy run football team. The Raiders are committing 8 men to the line of scrimmage. The receivers from Cleveland have to win the one-on-one battles.
This crowd is pumped up. Browns have a 3rd and 11. McCoy did not like what he saw in front of him. Calls for time. Here we are 34 seconds into the second quarter, and both these teams have only one timeout remaining.
They're not doing a good job. Communication between the play caller, the quarterback, substitutional football. It's a mess for both teams.
3rd and 11. Raiders with a 7-0 lead. There's a penalty flag thrown. Now McCoy with time and fires one. Ends up bouncing into the end zone. There was no one in sight for the Browns. So another flag is down.
Offside, number 93, defense, 5-yard penalty. Repeat.
And another penalty on the Raiders. This time it's defensive tackle Tommy Kelly.
Well, you just see Tommy Kelly right in the middle of your screen. I mean, Mara, this is what I'm talking about. 3rd and 11. Browns can't make a first down, and now you give them an extra opportunity on 3rd down. 53 total penalties this season. I mean, this is driving Hugh Jackson absolutely crazy.
That's the 3rd of the day against Oakland. 3rd down and 6. And McCoy's pass thrown beautifully. Cribbs breaks the tackle. Cribbs gets inside the 20. Nice catch by Josh Cribbs. Matt Giordano finally brought him down.
Well, you get a good look at what Colt McCoy's seeing. Nice job getting the ball out. Really puts it on the outside away from the corner. You see Van Dyke. And Marv, I think this is important. I don't know how you do it, but you've got to find a way to get Josh Cribbs the ball more. Good things happen when the ball is in his hands.
So good after the catch. Made that into a 23-yard gain. And a first down at the Oakland 19. Hardesty, who comes off a rough day in the loss to the Titans 2 weeks ago, picked up 3 on the play. Montario Hardesty dropped 4 balls against Tennessee.
Yeah, he really struggled. And I think what happens is it starts to compound the mistakes, and the confidence starts to become an issue with a young back like Montario Hardesty coming off of that knee surgery. But he's got to have a role in this offense. You see, he and Peyton Hillis in the backfield. They need both of them to be able to shoulder more of the load.
2nd down and 7. Play action. McCoy throws. Little had it and then stumbled. Did he get in? The Browns giving the side of touchdown, but he did not make it to the end zone. Look at that. He just lost his balance. Gets down to the 1-yard line. Picked up 15, but it'll be a 1st and goal.
Yeah, really a nice job, though, on the play action. And there's another young receiver that they're really excited about. And talking to Pat Shurmur last night, he's become a starter now. He's taken over for Brian Robisky, and it's the reason why they used a 2nd-round pick on Greg Little.
Hardesty, the feature back. Here's the play fake. McCoy throws. Touchdown. Nicely done by the Browns. Alex Smith, the tight end, on the reception. Alex Smith with his first touchdown of the season. 7-year man out of Stanford.
Well, you can see Alex Smith. Look at the safety, Boyd. He has his eyes in the backfield, and it just at split second, it makes him late recovering and covering the corner, the Alex Smith to the corner.
Phil Dawson for the extra point. High snap. Browns and Raiders tied at 7. Colt McCoy throwing for his 7th touchdown of the season.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Autotrader.com. Now compare new and used cars side by side at Autotrader.com. Sprint. All football, no limits. Only from Sprint. And by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking. Get to a better state.
3 minutes gone by in the second quarter. The Browns have tied the Raiders at 7. Rich, let's take a look back at that touchdown throw.
Well, Alex Smith, he's just going to sneak out and go to the corner. But keep an eye on the safety, Jerome Boyd. Run it. He's going to take a couple false steps right here. Look where his eyes are. They're in the backfield. And now by the time he comes off it, Alex Smith already has the edge on him. And this is an easy throw and catch for Colt McCoy and Alex Smith.
As you say, nice pass by McCoy. And a quickie drive for the Browns. Here's Dawson kicking it away to the combination of Jacoby Ford and Tywan Jones. Ford from the goal line. Finds some running room. The kicker Dawson looks to take him out. Cannot. He goes all the way. 101-yard return by Jacoby Ford.
Well, you just watch the end of it. You watch him tiptoe the line. The last person had a shot at it was Phil Dawson. And Marv, we talked about great special teams plays. John Fossil, the special teams coordinator, they've got great speed, particularly with returners. You can see Jacoby Ford tiptoe down the boundary.
For the second-year man out of Clemson, that is his 4th career kickoff return for a touchdown and the longest of his career. They are going to review it. I think they want to check his feet along the sideline. So we have a brief timeout. One of the new rules, every touchdown eligible for booth review.
The ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Rich, Jacoby Ford appearing as if he took a series of ballet classes, the way he was able to stay in bounds, sometimes just on his toes.
You know, it's not easy to be running full speed and you have all your weight leaning towards the boundary. It's like a tightrope walker down the sidelines, and no official is going to be able to stay with Jacoby Ford. Hey, when you score in the kicking game, boy, that's a big momentum booster for your football team.
Janikowski adds the extra point. 101-yard return by Jacoby Ford.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. FedEx does more than shipping. FedEx, solutions that matter. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
We are early second quarter here in Oakland, California. Sellout crowd at the Coliseum, and the Raiders have a 14-7 lead on the Browns. Just a moment ago, Jacoby Ford returning the kickoff, 101 yards. Now Sebastian Janikowski will boot it. Josh Cribbs is back. The line drive. Cribbs lost his balance momentarily, runs it out, and takes a shot as he crossed the 10-yard line. Quentin Rose, the backup linebacker, making the tackle. A 15-yard return by Cribbs. Follow the NFL. Well, on the go, the NFL's mobile apps, all new for the 2011 season. To get the apps, go to nfl.com/mobile.
Well, a good look at Alex Mack right in the center of your picture. Tough guy, Marv. You mentioned the appendectomy surgery the Monday after the Tennessee game. Less than 2 weeks, he's already back playing.
Nice way to spend the bye week recovering from an appendicitis attack. Peyton Hillis trying to follow his blocker, and is bumped out of bounds. Desmond Bryant, the right defensive end, stopping Hillis, who picked up 4.
They're really incredible when you think about that type of pain and discomfort was bothering him during the game, and He's actually with Tony Pascio Sunday night after the game, talking about how he didn't feel well and had that surgery at the Cleveland Clinic. And you look at a guy like Alex Mack, first-time Pro Bowler last year, the big reason why they've been able to run the ball so effectively between the tackles.
Imagine someone, a friend, saying to Alex, "Oh, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Just suck it up."
It's an upset stomach." Oh, the Chase McCoy gets it away on a screen. Hillis, penalty flag down. Hillis brought down by 5 members of the Raiders, led by DeMarcus Van Dyke, and that's good for 16, but there is a flag.
Illegal shift, offense. 2 players in motion, did not get set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Well, those are the mistakes that are absolutely killing the Cleveland Browns right now, Marvin. They're just not good enough to be able to overcome them all. You just watch 2 people moving at once. You see Alex Smith. Now what they have to see Colt McCoy trying to get him reset. Massaquoi needs to stop and reset before he comes in motion again.
First penalty called on the Browns. And off to Hardesty with no running room. No gain on the play. The middle linebacker, Rolando McClain, makes the stop.
Well, they're just committing so many defenders to the line of scrimmage. Been watching Tyvon Branch. He's been spending most of his day. Look at him. He's right here in the middle of your screen. I mean, they've got 8 men up in the box, and you've got these great advantageous looks on the outside. They've got to start throwing the ball on the early downs.
Ball at the 13. It's a 3rd down and 10. McCoy out of the gun. Little has a first down. Greg Little picking up 12. Mike Mitchell made the tackle. Greg Little in his rookie season, a 2nd-round pick out of North Carolina.
Well, you watch Michael Huff. He actually gets in the way of the corner, DeMarcus Van Dyke, and that's why Greg Little is so wide open.
Massaquoi flanked wide to the left, to the near side. Now in motion, ends up in the slot. Play fake by McCoy, has running room, and dives toward the 30. Covered up by Desmond Bryant. Picked up 4.
Well, you look at Colt McCoy. Didn't get off to a good start, but he settled down a little bit. And, you just get the sense when you visit with him, Marv, we talked to him Saturday afternoon, this guy wants to be great. He wants to do the work necessary. I think he's just frustrated right now. He's got some young, inexperienced receivers. They talked about going back to the basics, trying to scale back this plan. They need to start playing fast.
McCoy with a 2nd down and 6. Hands for Hardesty. Short of a first down, trying to make the turn, but he was stopped by the corner. Stanford route, so he picked up 4. Colt telling us, looking back at that Tennessee game 2 weeks ago, he said, I couldn't watch some of the plays that I made. He said, I got so upset with some of the ridiculous things that he did.
Yeah, the mistakes just driving him crazy. I also thought it was kind of ironic. He talked about throwing the ball 61 times, and he got a text from his college offensive coordinator at Texas. He said, now you know why we don't throw it so much. You don't win games when you throw it 61 times.
McCoy on the roll, has a first down, combining with tight end Evan Moore. Picked up 4 and a Cleveland first down.
Well, you go back and you talk about the struggles they had in Tennessee. He threw it 61 times, but he also completed 40. But this is one that he wasn't happy about. The interception, just a poor decision late down the middle. And on top of it, no one is able to make the tackle. And it's plays like this that have really turned the tide in the game. And that's all that Tennessee did. They had 3 or 4 big plays.
That was a Jordan Babineau interception. He took it back for 97. Play action. McCoy with a good look and pass off the mark. And Massaquoi upset because he felt he was open.
Well, you see him stumble. He's trying to stop. Just watch him. He's a little indecisive. He's trying to shut it down. And right at the top of the Raiders shield, he stumbles. And you can't do that. That's how balls get intercepted.
That shield will do it to you every time.
Stay away from the shield.
Second down and 10. Raiders with a 14-7 lead on the Browns. Smith has a first down. Gets across midfield, so McCoy able to use his tight ends effectively. Aaron Curry shoved him out of bounds, an advance of 13.
Well, they love to use the tight ends in this offense. You see Alex Smith. They've got 3 good ones. Ben Watson, Evan Moore, Alex Smith, and they'll use them all.
McCoy is really self-effacing, nothing personal, but particularly for a quarterback who is so honest about his games and what he has to do.
Yeah, he knows that they're not quite there yet. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Hardesty finding a hole. Picked up 6 on the play. Rolando McClain making the tackle. Colt saying he knows he can play a lot better. Said I'm learning every day and starting to get a feel for each guy. I feel sometimes like we are in a psychological type discussion with Colt McCoy. Not that I would be any help, but you can.
That's the case sometimes with young quarterbacks. And you think about what he's going through. Last year, he had a totally different system. Brian Daboll's the offensive coordinator this year. New system with Pat Sherman. It takes a while.
Second and 4. McCoy is able to shed a tackler, and the ball's knocked away. May have been picked off on a deflection. Well, it hit the ground, and a penalty marker also on the ground. Looked like Moss picked it up.
Number 66, offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
It is a hold on the Browns' right guard, Sean Laval.
Well, you get a look, Cameron Wembley up top. He's going against Tony Pashos. Cameron Wembley, a former Brown, came over here last year and led the Raiders in sacks. See, right in the middle of the screen. You look at Laval. He's taken down Tommy Kelly. Could have had 2 holds on that one.
You mentioned Wembley. He was traded for Colt McCoy. That was the 3rd-round draft pick. And here's McCoy way over the head of Cribbs, who was well covered. I think he threw that one away.
Well, he's thinking he's going to go. You can see the frustration from Colt McCoy. There's been some communication issues already. Colt McCoy thought Josh Cribbs was going to run the go route. Josh starts working it back across the field and throws that one up.
3rd down and 14.
Oh, you got to be careful in these situations in 3rd and 14 against this Raiders defense.
11th play of this drive for Cleveland. 6 minutes to go, first half. McCoy once again forced out of the pocket, incomplete. Intended for Greg Little.
Well, you get a Jarvis Moss gets a good look at him. They do such a great job generating pressure with their front 4. I think it's one of the better front 4s in the game. You've got Richard Seymour and Lamar Houston and Tommy Kelly, Jarvis Moss. They can generate good pressure with their front 4.
3rd punt coming up here for Brad Maynard. Arius Moore is back. And it's a beautiful punt. Good hang time. No return allowed as it carried out of bounds. So the Raiders will take over. They're up by 7. Reminder coming up on the Sprint halftime report. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Sprint halftime report. Just under 6 minutes to play in this first half. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon from Oakland, California. As the Raiders start out at their 19-yard line, they have a 14-7 lead on the Browns. You see number 20, Darren McFadden, in his 4th year out of Arkansas. Teammate of Peyton Hillis with the Razorbacks. In fact, Hillis was the blocking back for McFadden.
Green 80. Green 80.
McFadden able to pull away from one tackler, then Sheard got to him.
Well, what's impressed me the most when you watch this Raiders offense, it's the way they can run the football. They're in the top 5 in every major rushing category: attempts, yards per game, average per carry, rushing touchdowns. It all starts with this guy right here, Darren McFadden, who leads the NFL in rushing. When he gets out on the edge, it's scary.
Second down and 8. And Campbell with a dangerous pass, and a flag is thrown. It was caught by Ford. Patterson
There's a penalty flag on the play.
making the stop.
Pass interference, number 21. Defense, automatic. First down.
It is called on Patterson. Apparently Ford did not hold out of that pass.
They're coming right at you, right at the bottom of the screen. He just gets there a little bit early, Demetri Patterson. And that's who they're going after right now, and I don't blame them. You look at the other side, you got a 10-year vet in Sheldon Brown, Joe Hayden not in the lineup. I'm going to go after Demetri Patterson as well.
It is a first down for the Raiders at their 25. Campbell's pass incomplete, intended for Louis Murphy, who's playing his first game of the season. He's been out with an injured groin.
Well, Louis Murphy, you mentioned, Marv, he's been banged up a little bit his first game up, and just take an eye. Watch his eyes. Whoop! Let me go look at that safety. He wanted to make sure that Osama Young wasn't going to hit him, and that's not good to put on film. You've got to go in. You've got to be fearless going in across the middle.
You think he'll hear it?
Oh, yeah. They'll talk about that tomorrow in the film room.
Murphy last season had 41 receptions. Screenplay is set up for McFadden. And that was played well by the Browns, particularly the strong safety T.J. Ward along with Ataba Rubin.
Well, I think T.J. Ward needs to have a big game. He's going to spend a lot of time down around the line of scrimmage. Watch him come in from the left side. And Darren McFadden doesn't see him till the very end. He's a very good tackler. He led the Browns last year in tackles. He's a physical presence in that secondary.
Hayward Bay flank wide to the left for this 3rd and 8. Campbell gets the protection, taking advantage of that big hole. And he's taken down at the marker by Chris Gokog, and he is shaken up.
First down.
Well, that's never a good sign when you see your backup quarterback and Jason Campbell clutching that right arm. You wonder if it's his collarbone. He gets... Well, you watch the end of the play, and he comes down right on that right shoulder. He's trying to get the first down, and right there at the end, you're going to see him get squeezed. I believe that's Scott Fujita, and you can see him grab that right shoulder right away. Ah, that's not good. I have been there one too many times. He's trying to protect himself, and he's trying to get that first down. Oh, you hate to see that. He's been playing so well.
Campbell coming up just short of the first down, and we saw a moment ago Kyle Bowler warming up. Here he is, 8-year man from the University of California. His second season with Oakland. He played 5 games last year, threw only 4 passes. One-time Raven, was their starting quarterback for a while. Spent some time with the Rams. And Jason Campbell, hearing the applause from the crowd.
Just as I was talking about, he has to run more. He goes and gets hurt. And he did the right thing. You looked at that last play, they were playing 2-man coverage. And everyone was manned up, and you saw a big hole down the middle of the field. It does not look good.
So the situation, it is a 4th and inches, and a new quarterback has just entered.
I don't like this. They have their offense out there. Unless they're going to go no snap, no play where they try and draw Cleveland off sides, I think this is a risky move. You got a backup quarterback in the game. You've got a 14-7 lead, and you're going for it on 4th and 1. This may be no snap, no play. Yep. No snap, no play.
Oh, quarterback sneak attempted.
Hey, I don't know.
Tough to tell. And certainly a risky play.
How about Hugh Jackson? He's going to go down swinging. That's a very aggressive call in that situation.
And has the first down.
And that's what I like about Hugh Jackson. You think about last week, he calls the fake punt. Your quarterback goes down. What do? You go for it on 4th and 1. Really nice job by Tonga coming in there at the end. You can see him pushing his quarterback.
1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Michael Bush hit immediately by DeQuell Jackson. Jason Campbell is being taken back to the Raider locker room and pass on a report as soon as we get it. Loss of 3 on that play.
Well, it says that gentleman to the left there with the glasses on is one of the Raiders' orthopedic doctors. I know him because he's looked at my shoulder a bunch. That's never a good thing when he follows you back to the locker room.
2nd and 13. Bowler took a long look, could not find anyone, and down he goes at the 30. Phil Taylor comes up with the sack.
Well, they've done a really nice job. This defensive line, you see Phil Taylor in the middle there, and they've reworked this defensive line. 3 new starters from a year ago. The only holdover at Taba Rubin, but the 2 rookies, Taylor and Sheard, have really jumped out to me.
3rd and 14 out of the gun. Bowler with the handoff following the fake. Bush straight ahead across the 40, met by Gokong, and that should take us down to the 2-minute warning. Words exchanged between the Raiders and the Browns. It's the Raiders 14, the Browns 7. Coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan, Chad, and Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. 2 minutes to go, first half. Raiders with a 4th and 4, and the first punt of the day for Shane Lechler, the NFL's top long-distance punter. He's averaging high snap, averaging just under 54 yards a punt, and he booms it. Gibbs on the run. Nowhere to go. Spinning his way and took a loss. It's a 49-yard punt by Lechler, and the Browns will start out from behind their 10-yard line.
Well, the Browns need to get something going, Marvin. They've not had a lot of success running the football, and they've become a one-dimensional team, and they've got to throw it a bunch. They really struggle. We saw that against Tennessee, where they threw it 61 times. The key to this whole thing for Pat Shurmur and this offense is success on the ground.
Browns start out from their 9, the running back Montario Hardesty. Hardesty stumbled, lost his balance, and then able to recover. Picked up 3, met by Desmond Bryant.
I've been really impressed with this Raiders run defense. They came into today's game, and that was a problem for them. 22nd in run defense. We talked about the problems on the perimeter, and yet they've done a really good job containing Hardesty and Hillis.
McCoy incomplete. Going underneath to Hardesty, was hit by the middle linebacker, Rolando McClain.
Well, we talked about the Raider run defense, and they got off to a really good start. I mean, they don't want to let Peyton Hillis go. Force this big guy to run towards the boundary. Nice job by the defensive ends and the linebackers forcing things back inside. Cleveland has run the ball 12 times today for just 31 yards.
Cribbs to the right, Massaquoi left. 3rd and 7. And McCoy nearly intercepted. 2 defenders had a shot at it. Huff and McClain.
Wow, this is really fortunate. You see Colt McCoy, a low-angle look at it, and there's McClain and Michael Huff. Both trying to get a pick. Both trying to get their name in the paper. Colt McCoy's got to be careful. Got to see that throw.
So Maynard from his goal line, punting for the 4th time. And it is a good one. Moore tried to make the turn, but could not. And he stopped at the 38. 47-yard punt and a loss of 2 on the return. Well, we talk a lot about record-breaking performances. Well, here's one for you. For the first time in television history, one network has 20 of the top 30 shows thus far this season. Only CBS.
Marv, I can't imagine that the plan will change all that much with Kyle Bowler as opposed to Jason Campbell. And I'd let him throw it a little bit here. I want this guy to gain some confidence before he goes into halftime. And the team around him to gain some confidence.
Bowler working out of the gun, sets up a screen. McFadden is trapped and down he goes. Back at the 35, Rubin and Taylor combined to make the stop, and a flag is down.
Penalty flag on the play.
Defense, 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, we talk about communication. You've got to be smart. It's 12.
Rich confirming the number.
I love that little. That's my favorite thing.
Very nicely done.
The little red numbers.
I like that. It is 12.
12. Can't do it. We saw that last week from the Raiders. That drives coaches crazy.
How about the 10 on the field at the end of the game? Terrible. All right, 1st and 5. Incomplete, intended for Jacoby Ford. Down to 51 seconds remaining in the half. Of course, with Sebastian Janikowski, who is capable of booming from.
He had 3 from 50 last week.
Yeah.
And you don't need a whole lot more to get in his field goal range.
What was he telling you about what does he feel is the longest
67.
distance?
He thinks today he likes it from 67. He told me before the game.
Which would be an NFL record. Once again intended on the near side, this time Denarius Moore, and Kyle Bowler is hearing the murmurs from the crowd.
Well, this is the thing you always worry about, the timing and the rhythm in the passing game with a quarterback like Kyle Bowler. Probably didn't get any snaps this week in practice. There is no excuse for it, though. He's a veteran. He knows that he's got to step in there in a moment's notice and be able to make those kind of throws.
He is looking at a 3rd down and 5 with 47 seconds to play in this first half. The ball is at the Oakland 44. Inside handoff from McFadden, who is short of a first down. He picked up 4, met by Usama Young out of the backfield.
Well, they went for it last time on 4th down, and they're just going to be short. Cleveland takes the timeout.
So that is their final timeout. Raiders do have 1.
Well, we saw a fake punt out of the Raiders last week, and I thought it came at a great time where they were struggling a little bit offensively. They just snapped the ball to their up back, Rock Cartwright, who's not up and available today, and that was a big play in that game. And you look at this situation here, Marv, this probably wouldn't be a bad place for it either.
4th and a yard as Leckler comes on to punt for a second time. And let's see how the Raiders play it.
Oh, they can't get lined up. This would be a good place for a fake field goal. Why not? Fake punt. Nope.
Well, not this time as Cribbs let it carry over his head and gets the bounce into the end zone to bring it out to the 20, so that will go down as a 52-yard punt for Leckler.
Well, you've got to get your young quarterback going, and you go back to the concepts that he's most comfortable with. You've got a lot of man-to-man coverage. One of these receivers, whether it's Massaquoi or Greg Little, they're going to have to beat some of these Raider corners. To throw a little bit more on the early downs.
Browns from their 20 with 33 seconds to play in the half. Draw play for Harvesting. Gets to the 25. It's a 5-yard advance. And that might be it for this first half. Pat Shurmur taking the headset off. Browns coming off their bye week, preceded by that loss at home to Tennessee, 31-13. They are 2-2. Raiders with the emotional win in Houston last week to go to 3 up and 2 down. It is halftime in Oakland. Raiders have a 14-7 lead on the Browns. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You are watching the NFL on CBS. Welcome back to Oakland, California, where the Raiders lead the Browns 14-7 at halftime. But the bad news for the Raiders, the quarterback, Jason Campbell, injuring his collarbone, and we haven't received any further word on that.
No, it didn't look good, though, Mario, and that is bad news. He was really playing some good football. I felt like he was playing with more confidence, and his team was moving the ball. Now, all of a sudden, you've got to switch gears and find out just how ready Kyle Boller is.
Well, Campbell in that first half, 6 of 9, 52 yards. Let's take a look here at the NFL Mobile recap presented by Verizon, and this is the big play of the half. Jacoby Ford taking the kick from Phil Dawson, and he goes 101 yards. That is a career high for Jacoby Ford, his 4th career kickoff touchdown. And there he is, getting ready to take his second half kickoff. Dawson had a shot at Ford, as you saw, as he made his move down the sideline, and somehow Ford was able to remain in bounds. Second half is underway. A floater takes a hop and is picked up by Taiwan Jones, who goes for 13.
When you take a look at the first half stats, and not a lot of offense for the Cleveland Browns, just 108 yards, haven't been great on third down, some penalties in there as well, and so they've got to find a way to get themselves going. And as I look at what the Raiders got to do, they've got to get the running game going again. And it all starts with number 20, Darren McFadden. They've got to crank him up. He looked really good on the first drive, but he's been quiet since.
Overall, 10 carries, 58 yards, and a touchdown. McFadden trying to get to the outside, and he does. Picks up another first down. Darren McFadden in his 4th season out of Arkansas with a nice move.
Well, this is what you call rare and unusual speed. They've got the safety right there. You see TJ Ward? He's right there. Make the play. Now the corner. And he's just got unbelievable speed. And sometimes you underestimate your speed. That guy can really crank it up.
Once again, it's McFadden getting help from the big push. And he goes for 4.
Well, we talked about getting Darren McFadden going again, Marv. Look at that first possession. Start at their own 12-yard line to go 88 yards, but not a whole lot since, and they haven't had a lot of them. and it's been kind of a back and forth game. Punters have been very busy in this one.
Green 18. Second and 6. Bowler caught for the first down across the 40. Darius Hayward-Bay met by Dimitri Patterson. 7-yard advance. Kyle Bowler coming on for the injured Jason Campbell.
Well, clearly the plan is to work away from Sheldon Brown. Look at the majority of the throws today from Raider quarterbacks have been in the direction of Dimitri Patterson.
Darius Moore now flanked to the left. The handoff to Michael Bush. And Bush reaching out to the 45 goes to 3. Michael Bush last season ran for 655 yards, 8 touchdowns. Pretty good when you considered what McFadden was able to do, and it's a solid 1-2 combination for the Raiders.
Yeah, they have that luxury, as you said, Marv, and then they've got another guy, Tywan Jones, who's going to be a special player as well, but they're all different. They all bring a little something different to the party.
2nd and 7. Play fake by Bowler. Up tight end Brandon Myers with the catch, but short of the first down. Again, Patterson on the tackle. We keep mentioning Dimitri Patterson. There's a reason for it. They are throwing in his direction. He's playing for the injured Joe Hayden, who's out with that sprained knee.
Yeah, and he was off to a great start. He's their best defensive player, their best cover man, and they began matching up Joe Hayden with some of the best receivers, and now you've got not only Dimitri Patterson in there, but more of Buster Screen as well.
3rd and 4. And Bowler able to elude the sack. Bowler has a first down. Little duck under move. Caught from behind by Scott Fujita. It is a first down for the Raiders.
Well, Ataba Rubin doesn't miss many of these. You see him right there. Good reaction by Kyle Bowler. He just ducks and he begins running for his dear life. Nice job getting the first down.
Now McFadden is back. First down of the Cleveland 47. McFadden bobbled the toss and had to cover up.
Well, that's one that Darren McFadden has to make. You know, you've got a new quarterback in the game, but they faked that bell and they flip the toss and it goes right through McFadden's hands. A little anxious. Saw a lot of green grass out in front of him.
You see the play selection since Jason Campbell went out. After being injured, they've gone to the ground more than they've looked to throw. And now Bowler does throw deep downfield. Nice catch made. But he was out of bounds. So it is incomplete. Chaz Schillens, 4-year man from San Diego State. He goes 6'4", looking to take advantage, and there's a flag down.
Or offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Another Raider penalty. It's the center, Samson Sautelli. Fifth penalty called on the Raiders, way in front in that department. They lead the NFL with 55 on their way to an NFL record held by the Chiefs of 1998, 158 called on that Kansas City team. But this is tradition, Rich, in terms of penalties.
It's the way they roll out here. But they've got to get it straightened out. And it's been a problem going back to when I was a quarterback here in Oakland.
But they did it even on clubs that were dominant. Darius Moore, as Bowler is, as you can see, is warming up to Quell Jackson made the stop. It's a 9-yard pickup.
Well, we talked about penalties and have led the league in penalties 16 times. I'm sure I was probably a part of 6 of them. And you know, you make something a point of emphasis, and I know this really bothers Hugh Jackson because he's very detailed. I think he holds the players accountable, but You study them and you try and find where they're showing up. Offensive line, defensive line, the secondary.
Let's go.
And the penalty problems go back to the Raider days in the AFL when they were on top of the league. Michael Bush in the left flat, but short of a first down. Sheldon Brown, Scott Vegeta right there.
And that was saying something, Marv, because back in those days, I mean, the quarterback wasn't down until you stepped on his head.
Yeah.
And, and so when you led the league in penalties back then, it was kind of like a badge of honor. But the game has changed so much, and now when you commit those type of penalties, they take about $7,500 out of your paycheck on Monday.
We talked earlier about the possibility of a fake punt being attempted by the Raiders. Would this be an opportunistic time for it?
No, I don't think so. This is the part of the field you want to try it, but I don't know if this is the look. They're not rushing, just rushing 3.
Fair catch called for by Cribbs back behind the 10 to 35-yard punt. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Browns start out from their 10-yard line. The running back is Hardesty. Takes the toss. Aaron Curry, the newest Raider, making the stop, holding Hardesty to a 2-yard gain.
Well, we look at the first half possessions, not a lot of success just right here, and that one was set up by an Oakland turnover. And you look at all the punts, and they're just really struggling right now to find the rhythm. A big reason why, Marv, is they've not been good on first down.
Shorter staying with Hardesty. Peyton Hill has seen much action over the first couple of series. Only one rush for Hillis since back in the first quarter. McCoy able to complete to Massaquoi. Battling his way at the marker, and a flag is down. Mohamed Massaquoi with his 15th catch of the season. Been playing through a hamstring injury, missed all of preseason.
Personal foul, number 66, offense. For unnecessarily contacting a player near the dead ball. That penalty will be enforced half the distance. The offense gained a first down on the play, so it'll be 1st and 10 after enforcement of the penalty.
It's another call on the right guard, Sean Laval. And this time the personal foul, so it sets it back to the 10. Hardesty tries the middle. Only 3 on that run. Cameron Wembley, the one-time Brown, makes the stop.
Well, the last time we saw the Cleveland Browns, Peyton Hillis didn't get a lot of work. Marv, I don't think he was happy about it. We talked to him after that Tennessee game. But Pat Shurmur told us, said, hey, we've got to get Peyton Hillis going. He's our back. And you think about a guy that accounted for over 1,600 yards of offense and half their touchdowns, and he's on the sidelines.
Second out and 7 at the 13. McCoy has a first down. Nice fake. Chased by Stanford Routt, the left corner. And a first down for the Browns.
Well, I want you to watch the quarterback, and then as he comes back out, I think he just keeps this on his own. Look at the receivers. They're down the field blocking. You see right here? They're not anticipating the pass. So I don't know that Colt McCoy didn't see that they were one short on the strong side, that there was nowhere to go with the ball, and he just decides to pull it out and pick up the first down. Good alert play by Colt McCoy.
And the Browns stay with Hardesty. First down from their 22. Play action. It is dropped by Hardesty. And as we mentioned earlier, 2 weeks ago in the game against the Titans, Hardesty dropped four throws.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Marv, and you go back and you think about the Tennessee game, and it just, started with the first one, and then all of a sudden it became an issue. He started peeking, he started looking upfield, and then you just lose your confidence. And I talked about there's a machine, it's called a judge machine, and you see the backs, the receivers, and tight ends stay after practice. Look, 6 drop passes already this season.
And that's his second today. Hardesty on the run.
Montario Hardesty up the middle.
He went for 6 yards, met by Jarvis Moss.
Well, you get a good look at Colt McCoy. Hey, we're all out here together trying to build up his confidence, but at the same time, come on now. You got to help me out.
What's the feeling?
Well, you get frustrated, but you got to encourage them. And, we always talk about being able to control your emotions. That's something very important for young players.
3rd and 3.
And the Raiders have brought a lot of pressure.
Here they come. And McCoy's pass behind Massaquoi. Incomplete. Punting team will check back in.
Well, as I studied this Cleveland offense, one of the things they've not done a good job is handling the blitz and pressure packages that they've seen through the first 5 weeks of the season. And Marv, as you know, until you show that you have answers and you can handle it, trust me, you're going to see a lot more of it.
Maynard with the punt. And the fair catch made by Denarius Moore. So in effect, when you try to build up your receivers who drop balls, you're really insincere.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. DirecTV. Switch now and get a whole home DVR upgrade for free. And by the 2011 GMC Sierra. This truck month, there is no better time to trade up to the best Sierra.
Tonight on CBS, he's been covering Afghanistan for 10 years, but what Scott Pelley reports on 60 Minutes may change the way you see the war. That's tonight only CBS.
Just thinking about Darren McFadden and how to get him more involved. The one thing we haven't seen, Marv, is the Raiders displace him. Put him out there, receiver. He's done some really good things out there. He's been in the backfield so much. I think they need to start moving him around a little bit more.
Raiders 1st and 10 from their 35-yard line. Pass intended for the fullback, Manasseh Tonga, playing for the injured Marcel Reese.
Well, you see, it hits his hands, and you talk about location on throws, and you learn when you throw to backs, you've got to be exact, precise. You've got to put it right on them. Start throwing it away from their body. They're not real comfortable.
And as you see, Boulder 4 of 7, 28 yards. Coming on for the starter, Jason Campbell, McFadden. Short pickup, about 3, met by T.J. Ward. Raiders come in at 3-2, winning in Houston last week in the aftermath of the death of Al Davis. Beat Denver, the Jets, and Houston, 2 of those wins on the road. Lost at Buffalo in a wild one, and then lost here at home against New England.
Ready.
Next Sunday, Raiders are home for the Chiefs. It's more in motion. Jacoby Ford showing his speed again. First down and more. Gets to the Cleveland 35-yard line. He goes for 27. He's tackled by the free safety, Mike Adams.
Well, just keep an eye on this. This is some great football. Watch this. Both receivers are going to come across. Then the back switch, and there's Jacoby Ford. He's going to come out of the backfield. So a little bit of misdirection. Jacoby Ford lined up in the backfield. Just another way to get him the ball on the edge. Really great play design by Hugh Jackson and the Raiders.
Jacoby Ford last year, a 4th-round draft pick out of Clemson. Bowler with time, overthrows. He had a wide-open Hayward Bay.
Marv, you're right. When you got him this wide open, you've got to hit him. Great protection. He had plenty of time, and he throws that one out of bounds. And look at this route. Little post, then he's going to come back. Right there, put his foot in the ground. Boy, you've got to hit him. Look, you see the frustration from Kyle Boller. Boy, you don't, in this business, at this level, you don't get a much more wide open than that.
Kyle Boller in his 8th season out of the University of California, second year with Oakland. He's been a starter in the past as a member of the Ravens. McFadden with a short pickup. NFL Today update. JB, Dan Marino.
All right, Marv, take a look at Houston battling back.
And Matt Schaub, he play action pass, rolls to his right, looking for Jacoby Jones in the end zone. 32-yard touchdown. 14-13, Houston over Baltimore.
Nip and tuck in the third, back to Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
Who needs Andre Johnson, huh, Marv, when you got big plays like that down the field?
Raiders looking at a 3rd and 8 at the Cleveland 33. Deep drop by Boller. He's on the run and short of the first down. Sliding at the 30 met by Fujita. Went for 3. Here comes Sebastian Janikowski. This will be a 48-yard attempt. Janikowski, 11 of 12 on the season, including a 63-yarder to tie the NFL record held by Tom Dempsey and Jason Elam. He's been hitting from long range all season long, and this one is good. Oakland extends to a 17-7 lead on the Browns. 7 plays, 35 yards, just under 3 minutes, including with the 48-yarder by Janikowski. Josh Cribbs back for the kickoff, and again, it's a line drive. They're keeping it away from Cribbs. He's able to scoop it up. Tries to get to the outside and is taken down. Clutching the football. 16-yard return. Tyvon Branch made the stop.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. And by the new action-adventure film The Three Musketeers, in theaters Friday.
I have to say, pleasant day here in the Bay Area. Raiders have a 17-7 lead on the Browns. The pass from McCoy almost picked off, intended for Little. DeMarcus Van Dyke, a rookie from Miami, playing for the starter. Chris Johnson had a shot at that one.
Yeah, he really did. You know, you look at the problems that this Browns offense has had trying to generate some big plays, and just haven't been a lot of them. Just 8 last in the league, and you know, it's so tough to go 80 yards in this league with 3- and 4-yard gains. And I think that's why we're seeing more of Josh Cribbs and Greg Little on the field. But Little just 2 catches and Cribbs with just 1.
And the Browns staying with Hardesty instead of Hillis. That is fumbled, a handoff, bobbled, and lost. Looks like the Raiders have recovered. Tommy Kelly on the recovery. And Oakland takes possession.
Well, this is on Colt McCoy. The ball just slips out of his hands. I mean, I think it was a draw to Montario Hardesty, and Colt McCoy, he's taking the ball back away from center. That one just gets away from you. Look at that statistic, 7th straight giveaway, 7th straight game with the giveaway. And it's a big reason why they're struggling offensively.
Raiders start out at the Browns' 25-yard line.
Green 18! Good night!
End around. Osbury with very little running room. DeQuell Jackson, the middle linebacker, was right on it. So that's the tight end, 7th round pick out of USC, David Osbury.
You really see big play. You try and generate a big play after a turnover. So you get a turnover, and Hugh Jackson's thinking about going for the big play there. And nice job by Cleveland getting out in front of it, and Jamie Mitchell forcing that one back up inside.
Loss of 2 on the play.
Green 18! Good shot!
Short set by Bowler. And throws it away. Kyle Bowler coming on at the end of the first half for the injured Jason Campbell. We have not received any further reports, but it appeared that he did hurt his collarbone.
Yeah, we may be seeing Kyle Bowler here for another 5 or 6 weeks. If in fact, Marv, as you said, that may be a collarbone issue. You just watched earlier in the game, Jason Campbell scrambling, trying to pick up a first down. Scott Fujita comes on right at the end. Look at him clutch and grab that right shoulder, and that's a painful injury. I've had that. If it's your throwing arm, that can keep you out for a while.
Bowler 5 of 10, 55 yards. Bowler had the ball slapped away, but he's able to recover. Knocked away by Jabal Shear, the defensive end for the Browns. It results in a loss of 8.
Well, just keep an eye on Sheard off the edge. Does a really nice job. That's a bit of an issue there for Khalif Barnes, the speed of Jabal Sheard. He's really been a great addition to this Cleveland defensive line. He's made a lot of plays. He and Phil Taylor, first and second round picks.
So here is Sebastian Janikowski. This will be a 53-yard attempt. Hit moments ago from 40. Oh, here's the fake. Leckler completes. Boss runs it in. Touchdown. And there's the fake that you had mentioned. They do it on a field goal attempt. For punter Shane Leckler, which was warming up, throwing a lot of passes earlier, and he connects with the tight end Kevin Boss.
Yeah, well, a couple things. We're going to go back and take a look at it. Look how hard they come off the edge. You're just going to see Boss sneak out. And they overload the right side. And I actually was on the field prior to the start of the game talking to my old teammates Sebastian Janikowski and Shane Leckler, and they said, hey, look, there's a look or two that we think we can really take advantage of. That was it right there.
35-yard pass play, and now Janikowski puts it through. Beautifully done by the Raiders. With a minute 23 to go, third quarter. Oakland 24, Cleveland 7. That touchdown pass thrown by the punter, Shane Leckler, his first passing attempt in the NFL. And he is now considered, we're told by the Raiders, as the emergency quarterback with Jason Campbell injured and only Kyle Bowler at the present time on the roster. Remember, they do have Terrell Pryor, Josh Cribbs. Here's Cribbs on the return across the 20-yard line. And as you mentioned, Richie, we're talking with Leckler on the field prior to the start of today's game.
Well, you know, he played quarterback in high school, was recruited at Texas A&M as a quarterback and a punter. And I was talking to him on the field before the game, and he couldn't keep it. He couldn't keep it in. I asked him about the fake punt last week. He said, "Hey, we've got one this week that's even better." And he actually explained it to me and drew it up. So we've been looking for this fake punt all day, and there it was.
You have a way of getting that type of information.
Tried to keep a secret. It was hard though.
First and 10 from the 23-yard line. Play fake by McCoy. Floats one. Caught by Little and has a first down up near the 40-yard line. 16-yard pickup. Van Dyke and Branch combined to make the stop. We've been mentioning Montario Hardesty has been taking, basically, he's been in there throughout the third quarter and also for a good portion of the second quarter. Now we have received word that Peyton Hillis tweaked his hamstring.
Now it's making some sense. Why we're not seeing more of number 40.
First down at the Cleveland 39. Play fake again by McCoy. He is in trouble and just fires it into the ground.
You got to ask yourself, where was he throwing that one?
Raiders saying why not intentional grounding.
Grounding on the play. Receiver number 81 was in the vicinity.
All right,
Second down.
There's your answer, according to the officiating crew, that Alex Smith, number 81, the tight end, was in the area.
2nd and 10 from the 39.
Well, you're going to see he starts moving around Colt McCoy. And right at the end, you ask yourself, there's Smith right there.
Half-minute left, third quarter. An impressive display to this point by the Raiders. McCoy's pass incomplete, intended for the rookie Greg Little.
The intended receiver.
Well, they're trying to get Greg Little more involved, Marv, and he's a bigger receiver who has the ability to rack up yards after the catch, but this is all new to him as well. Didn't play football last year. He's a rookie now and didn't have the benefit of the offseason, and so he's learning on the fly as well.
Little played only one full season of college ball, suspended by the NCAA last year for accepting gifts from an agent, so he sat out the year. McCoy over the head of Chris. 3 and out for the Browns with just 22 seconds left in this third quarter. It's been a very busy afternoon for Brad Maynard. This will be his 6th punt.
Boy, the passing game's been awful for Cleveland. Colt McCoy just 9 of 24 for 103 yards.
And remember that last game where, again, Cleveland played from behind. He threw 61 passes, 40 completions. That's not what you want to see. Fair catch called for by Moore. Well, Thursday on CBS, they know when someone's in trouble, but can they find a kidnapped child in time? Catch the new mystery thriller, Person of Interest, Thursday only. CBS, 47-yard punt by Maynard. Raiders start out from deep in their own territory, from their 14-yard line. Raiders last season finished at 8-8. Won all 6 of their division games. Their first non-losing record since back in 2002. They had 7 straight seasons with 11 of all losses. McFadden for 2 on the play. Met by T.J. Ward. And that will do it for this third quarter. Oh, this is pretty. Fake field goal, and it works. Leckler to the tight end boss. We'll be back after this message and a word from your local station. Fourth quarter here at the Oakland Coliseum. Raiders with a 24-7 lead on the Browns. 2nd and 8 at the 16 as we resume. McFadden got a cut back with nowhere to go.
Darren McFadden.
T.J. Ward was right there. McFadden lost a couple. 16 carries, 79 yards, and a touchdown for Darren McFadden, who came into today's play leading the NFL in rushing yardage.
Yeah, he's such a scary back. He can do so much. He's been relatively quiet, though, Marv, after that first quarter. Cleveland's played better run defense, but you always expect big, explosive plays out of Darren McFadden.
Now Michael Bush has come on for McFadden. Bowler looking to unload, incomplete. Intended for Darius Hayward-Bay. So this is the 4th punt.
When you're struggling on offense, Marv, you need a big play from Josh Cribbs to get you back in the game, and that's the only way they get back in this game, a big return out of him.
Here is the flame-throwing Shane Leckler from his goal line. A booming punt, and Cribbs will look to return. Beautiful move by Cribbs to get outside and then cut back the other way. A 59-yard punt, 21-yard return. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon, back in the Bay Area. Browns 1st and 10 from the Raider 42-yard line. They are trailing 24-7. Colt McCoy's numbers now 9 for 24, 103 yards. He has struggled, not getting much help. Hardesty with a short pickup, about 3 on the play, stopped by McLean.
Well, the Browns trying to pick up the tempo here a little bit, no huddle. Got to try to stimulate this offense some way, somehow, and maybe this will do it.
2nd down and 7. And McCoy able to complete, has the tight end. Benjamin Watson, a name that we have not called. That's his first catch. It's good for 5. Now Cleveland coming into this afternoon 26th in the league in scoring, averaging just 18 points a game. Only 7 thus far here today. 3rd and 3. Little made the nice cut to pick up the first down. Taken down by Tyvon Branch. 6-yard pass play.
Well, they like moving Greg Little in the middle in the slot. They take that big body. They think he's going to be a really good one in there as well when they go with their 3 and 4 wide packages.
First down at the Raider 29. McCoy, he's jarred from behind. And the ball carries out of bounds. He took a shot from Matt Giordano.
Well, they're going to bring both safeties. They're going to bring Mitchell and Giordano at the top of the screen, and he never feels it. And there's been a ton of safeties coming off the edge all day. Wow, that one hurts. Well, the pressure, you can see they're knocked down a bunch. He's been harried, he's been sacked. He's not had a lot of time to hold that football.
Now Peyton Hillis has checked in for the first time in this second half. Of McCoy throwing deep, overthrow intended for Little. Covered by Van Dyke.
Well, you got to give Raiders defensive coordinator Chuck Bresnahan a lot of credit. He has been bringing a lot of pressure packages. You see the throw here just a little bit out in front of Greg Little. He's trying to make the play, and Van Dyke does just enough at the end to knock it away.
3rd down and 10. Line of scrimmage for Raider 29. So Hillis, who we were told tweaked his hamstring and sat out the entire 3rd quarter, is back in at running back. But McCoy throws to the near side. It is incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Evan Moore, who was trying to bait the official to call an interference penalty.
It was intended for number 89.
Brings up a 4th and
Illegal
10.
shift on the offense.
Well, there is a penalty.
2 players in motion prior
on
to
the
the snap
Browns.
did not reset. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
That's the 2nd illegal shift called on the Browns.
And those are the penalties that absolutely drive you crazy. You don't give yourself a chance when you can't get lined up right. You can't do the simple things. And you'd think coming off the bye that they would have a cleaner performance. They have not looked very good offensively, and I know that's very frustrating for Pat Shurmur.
I think not look very good is kind.
Well, it is. And they can't get the running game going with either back. The quarterback has not looked good, and they have not handled the pressure. The Raiders have been continuing to bring pressure the entire game.
Phil Dawson is on for a 47-yard field goal attempt. Maynard will hold. So Dawson hits from 47, and Oakland leads Cleveland 24-10.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by TD Ameritrade. Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL. And by Immortals on 11/11/11. Experience it in epic 3D.
Getting ready for the Browns kickoff. Players on the Raiders wearing decals. Memory of Al Davis. Wearing it on their helmets. Fans wearing T-shirts to honor Al Davis. Passed away last Saturday, the day before the Raider win in Houston. Jacoby Ford will run it out. On the stubble, has a clear path, and then is taken down up near the 45. He had that 101-yard return back in the first half. That goes for 36. The Raiders start out for their 35-yard line. Darren McFadden is the running back. And McFadden is smothered. Jamie Mitchell, the right defensive end, leading the way. 3-yard advance. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame show with JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher. They'll have all the latest NFL scores and highlights all coming up on the Subway postgame. Talking about Al Davis, and there's been so much speculation as to who will take over the personnel and operational duties for the Raiders. Here's Bowler. First down. Hayward Bay makes the catch. That's good for 16 yards. The Raiders CEO Amy Trask has made it clear that the team will remain in the Davis family, with Al's son Mark playing an active role, and the feeling is the director of football operations / general manager will eventually be hired. Head coach Hugh Jackson also in the mix in terms of input.
Yeah, it's tough to make major philosophical changes in the middle of the season, but even afterwards, I don't know that there'll be significant ones.
Michael Bush and a flag is thrown. Bush goes for 3. Usama Young making the stop.
Holding, number 64, offense. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Well, that's the center, Samson Sotelli.
Well, you look at Samson Sotelli right in the middle of your screen. Watch the tackle. A pretty good tackle there. Good form tackle. You watch, he rides him right to the ground. Yeah, they're not going to miss that one. Taba Rubin's a handful in the middle of the defense.
Browns also without their strong side linebacker. Their veteran is all over the field, Scott Fujita, who went out with a head injury, which means he will not be back. 5th penalty called on the Raiders.
We're talking about Al. I don't know that there's going to be major changes, Marv. I know they're relying on people that were in the organization at one time. John Madden and Ron Wolf, who worked for Al and who remained very close. So,
and apparently Hugh Jackson just called a timeout. So another early timeout for the Raiders.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Honda Odyssey, like no van before. And by Subway Restaurants. Get in on the Subway Taste for Adventure Suites today.
A hazy look at the Bay Area. Beautiful 71-degree day. Bowler with time. And a diving grab is made by Hayward Bay. Still short of a first down. Picked up 14. DeQuell Jackson makes the tackle.
Well, with the 14-point difference in this game, it's all been about special teams. Scoring twice in the kicking game, huge for the Raiders. Jacoby Ford got it started with that 101-yard return, and then Shane Leckler with a beautiful pass to tight end Kevin Boss. Really, the Browns didn't see this one coming, and that's really been the difference so far today, Marv. You look at the score, 24-10, 2 scores in the kicking game.
Bush gunning for that first down marker. Jackson with the stop, picked up 5 short of a First down for Kevin Boss, the one-time New York Giant. His first touchdown as a member of the Raiders, signed as a free agent after 4 years with the Giants. Solid player as the Giants starting tight end.
Trying to replace Zach Miller, who left via free agency to go to Seattle. Zach was a really good player here for a long time, and big shoes to fill.
Bush again, and he has the first down. Sheard and Gokong combined to make the stop. Getting back to the subject of Al Davis now, there's no question about the significance of Al to this franchise and to the history of the NFL. What he meant to football in general, but he controlled every phase of the operation here in Oakland, which at times made it difficult for coaches. Al was, as you know, a complicated man. Will it actually be easier for coaches to operate under the present circumstances? We'll get to that after this play, which is a handoff to Bush. Able to work his way for 4 more yards.
Well, I will tell you this, Marv, there'll never be another owner like Al Davis who is as involved in the day-to-day operations of this team. Very involved in the final 53-man roster, personnel decisions, the draft. He'd sit in on draft meetings, spend a lot of time with the defense. As you know, he'd be out on the practice field. There'll never be another owner like Al Davis. Very intense, highly motivated, tireless worker, and can be very demanding at times, but it was all about winning. And he did a lot of that for his 49 years.
Here is Bush. Not much there. About a yard. Austin English up from the practice squad makes the tackles. Back in January 1963, Al Davis became the head coach, general manager of the Raiders of the AFL, named AFL commissioner eventually. So key in the battle between the NFL and AFL in terms of attracting players. With John Madden, they won 3 Super Bowl titles and hired Tom Flores as the first minority head coach in NFL history. Also hired Art Shell, first black coach in NFL history. Darius Hayward-Bay stopped by Dimitri Patterson, but that is a first down pass from Kyle Bowler.
Well, Darius Hayward-Bay has gotten the best of Dimitri Patterson all day. He's played off. They beat him underneath with slants and with comebacks and different routes. And Darius Hayward-Bay, we talked about him in the open, Marvin, just how much more comfortable he seems in this offense. It's about confidence, and this guy is really playing some good football.
6 catches, 82 yards for Hayward-Bay, and a first down for the Raiders. McFadden works his way inside the 10. He picked up 4. DeQuell Jackson makes the stop.
You know, Kyle Bowler's missed a couple throws, but I think overall he's played really well. I mean, this comes in a difficult situation, no work during the week, and, you know, he's getting in and out of the huddle. He's making good decisions and managing the running game, and he's made some good throws as well. You can see even him getting more comfortable and more confident in this offense.
Kind of worked his way into it. 8 of 14, 100 yards, replacing the injured Jason Campbell. 2nd and 6 inside the 10. And a timeout is called by the Raiders.
Well, they've had a lot of problems, not just with Kyle Bowler, but going back to the first quarter with Jason Campbell. I know this drives Hugh Jackson crazy.
The Raiders hold on. They'll extend to a record of 4-2, 3 wins the last 4 games. San Diego, Kansas City, and Denver all have byes this week. So the Raiders would move just a half game behind the Chargers. And you look at the schedule, home for Kansas City, followed by their bye week, and then home for Denver, at San Diego on a Thursday night, and then at Minnesota. We're looking at a host of division.
Yeah, you
matches.
mentioned division games, Marv, and that's tough without your starting quarterback, Jason Campbell. Kyle Bowler is really going to have to step up and play well.
2nd and 6 inside the 10-yard line. And McFadden stopped by Jackson after picking up 3 yards. Meanwhile, the Browns could drop to 2 and 3 in the AFC North. Baltimore on top. They are currently playing Houston. They are 3 and 1. Cincinnati with a win today. Pittsburgh with a win today. They are 4 and 2. So the Browns at the bottom of the division. Here is McFadden.
Darren McFadden up the middle.
We got a real kick, Marv, out of what Hugh Jackson had to tell us about Darren McFadden. He said when Hugh first came to Oakland, folks in Oakland told him that this guy couldn't play. And so you went and visited with McFadden. He said, what do you feel comfortable running? And he said, I like to power play. I like to use my speed on the edge and run downhill. And that's what they started to do. And so Hugh Jackson wasn't afraid to adjust his scheme to fit the player. And that's something Al Davis has always talked about. It's not about plays, it's about players.
4th and a yard. Bush has checked back in. Takes the handoff. And we'll have to see where they spot it. That was the 12th play of this drive that started back at their 35. And apparently the Raiders are short of a first down. Raiders also running a lot of time off the clock on this drive. Looks like Samson Sautelli, the Raiders center, is hurt. He's had rib injuries, which was suffered last week. In fact, sat out part of the game against the Texans. Samson missing several snaps last week, and Stefan Wisniewski, the rookie from Penn State, who is the starting left guard, can also play center and moved over to the center spot. This drive by Oakland has consumed 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Right here, we're set for an update. Let's go to JB and Dan Marino.
40-yard pass from Drew Brees to Lance Moore sets this up.
Yes, Mark Ingram goes on a 12-yard run here to bring New Orleans to within 3, 23-20. Tampa.
Coach Sean Payton run over by one of his own players in the first quarter. MCL tear, fractured tibia. Monitoring the game from the locker room. Back to Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
Well, that's significant. Could you imagine? He's not only their head coach, but the play caller. And that's not easy for the New Orleans Saints to lose your head coach and play caller in the middle of a game. My goodness.
Samson Sautelli headed to the sideline. And doing so very carefully.
Well, just keep an eye on DeQuell Jackson. He's going to come screaming right up the middle of this defense, and he's going to actually leap over his front. Just look at the effort this guy has been playing with, even late in the game. He's going to get in there. Jabal Sheard gets in there, and I've been really impressed with the job that DeQuell Jackson has done. 40 tackles coming into today's game, and great job getting everybody lined up. Big stop for that defense.
So Cleveland takes over at their 5. McCoy slides short of the 10-yard line, covered up by Rolando Plain. Now the Raiders coming into today had allowed 422 yards per game overall. Browns thus far just 165 yards.
Yeah, they've done a real good job defensively.
McCoy completes. Watson and the left flat has a first down.
Two things that really jumped out at me when I look at how well the Raiders have played defensively. I think the strength of this defense, without question, is the defensive line. They've been very disruptive. They've taken over the game up front, and they've brought a lot of pressure. And they continue to bring pressure on Colt McCoy.
And here's the pressure again. Diving catch made up at the 25 by Hardesty. That's good for 6. And coming into today, the Raiders had allowed 5 yards a carry, which, looking at it from the positive side for Cleveland, you would think would be a Pretty good opportunity for someone like Peyton Hillis, but it did not happen as the Raiders went on top early. Catch by Moore, and he is ruled down.
Evan Moore on the reception.
Well, what happens is when you don't handle the blitz, you don't handle the pressure early in the game, and a guy like Chuck Bresnahan, a defensive coordinator for the Raiders, he just keeps dialing them up. And I think this is a defense that really thrives on that type of relentless pressure.
The completion to Watson again, and he's pushed out of bounds after 45. Good for 18. Mike Mitchell on the coverage. Cleveland has had possession only 22 minutes to this point. They haven't had the ball.
No, they haven't. And when they've had it, they've not been able to do anything with it. And, you know, when you run the ball as well as the Raiders do, and you think go back to that first Raider drive where they just, you know, went down the field methodically, and that's a problem. When you look at the time of possession, and hard to make big plays when you don't have the ball very often.
3 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. Play action, and again McCoy under pressure. Down he goes. Second sack for the Raiders, and Lamar Houston will get credit for the sack.
Here's what he's got to see. You've got to start paying attention. You can't run a naked right into a blitz. I mean, it's almost as if Colt McCoy is oblivious to the pressure. Marv, I've been talking to our producer down in the truck 2 or 3 seconds before every play. Here comes pressure. Here comes pressure. I see it from up here. Colt McCoy's got to start realizing that they're bringing pressure, and he's got to change plays.
So you are the one person on the staff who still talks to our producer, Ross Schneider.
Absolutely.
Looked like Cleveland is called for time. NFL Today update. JB and Dan Marino.
27-yard run by Ray Rice sets this up for Baltimore.
Baltimore starting to take control. Ricky Williams goes in 4 yards out for a touchdown. 26-14 Baltimore.
A cushion with 3:06 left in regulation. Back to Marv Albert and Rich Gannon.
That team has always been able to run the ball, and for this is Ray Rice, then they bring in Ricky Williams.
Browns using a timeout following that sack of Lamar Houston on Colt McCoy, who were teammates at Texas.
You look at those numbers under pressure, and they've not handled it well. Some of that falls on the offensive line, some of it falls on the quarterback.
McCoy out of the shotgun, completes to Massaquoi. Out of midfield, picked up 9.
Well, you see the Raiders substitute and bringing fresh defensive linemen in the game. They run 3 out, and they have the luxury to do that, Marv. They're talented along the defensive line.
Oh, that front four has played so well. Houston, Seymour, Kelly, and Bryant. McCoy, a lot of room to complete passes at this point. Little with the catch and a first down. It's good for 9. Down to 2 minutes to play in the fourth. It's been all Raiders. Marv Albert, Rich Gannon from Oakland, California, where the Raiders lead the Browns 24-10. Just under 2 minutes to play in this fourth quarter. McCoy with the jump pass. Hardesty broke a tackle and has a first down inside the 25-yard line. Coming up, time permitting, after the game, the Subway postgame show. Join JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, all coming up on the Subway postgame show. First down at the Oakland 25. McCoy, he was looking end zone, and it was deflected and picked off. Tyvon Branch off the deflection with his second interception of the season, and returns it 13 yards.
Well, Mike Mitchell gets in there first, and then you're going to see Tyvon Branch right there. Ooh, I think it touches the ground.
Yeah.
Good effort, though. But they're trying to throw that seam route to Ben Watson up the seam, up to the tight end. Really nice play by the safety, Mike Mitchell. He gets it started, gets his hand in there first, and then you see Tyvon Branch trying to make that scoop.
They will review it. It's under the
Previous play is under review.
Yeah, they're taking a look upstairs. It's a booth review. From the replay that we saw, it appeared he scooped it. Well, for those of you expecting to see 60 minutes, you're watching the NFL on CBS and the game between the Browns and the Raiders. 60 minutes will be seen in its entirety immediately following the game, except on the West Coast, where it will be seen at its regularly scheduled time.
We never miss 60 minutes. Saw Drew Rosenhaus last week, right?
Did you enjoy that?
I did.
In a very difficult 60 minutes for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it really has. And, you know, they coming off their bye, I really felt like they'd play better, and they just have not been able to get anything going offensively, and not a lot of production. Couldn't get Peyton Hillis going, and couldn't get the running game going, and when they can't get the running game going, they really struggle.
Now, how about the Oakland Raider quarterback situation? Jason Campbell, there's another look at that deflection and the pickup by Tyvon Branch. Campbell injured first half. Kyle Boller comes on, played okay, let's say. Right. Came on as the game progressed. There is no other quarterback on the roster except for Terrell Pryor. His 5-game suspension has ended. The Raiders have a roster exemption for a week while they decide how to free up a spot for Pryor. But the question is he really ready? So do you go and sign someone else as your backup quarterback?
Well, there's Terrell Pryor.
Depending on Campbell's.
Yeah, there's Terrell Pryor right there, and he's not ready. And they had a 1-week exemption. He's been able to sit in the meetings and pay attention, not been able to practice, but he's just not ready. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Raiders go out and sign another quarterback. But they really like Pryor. He's a big, strong kid. Reminds you a little bit in terms of his size and his physique of a Cam Newton. Very athletic, can make plays with his legs. The thing he's going to have to work on is becoming a better pocket passer. That usually takes a lot of time for the inexperienced rookies. Ran into him in the hallway before the game, and he's just excited to be an Oakland Raider.
Did he know who you are?
He did. He asked me for my number. Said, can we
Really?
visit? I want to talk to you about playing the game. Yeah, I always like to help young quarterbacks, and I know he spent some time with my old coach, John Gruden. I think he's got a chance to be a good one.
After review, the ball hit the ground prior to being controlled by the intercepting team. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd and 10 for Cleveland. Please reset the game clock to 1:49.
So the Browns maintain possession. I must say, Jason Campbell was very excited to sit and talk about the quarterback position with you when we met with him on Friday.
Yeah, and I was excited to sit with him as well. I really think he's got a bright future in this league. Now that he's finally with a team that believes in him, it's going to give him a chance, and that's really important. I felt bad that he got hurt, and hopefully it's nothing serious and he'll be back soon. Hey, if you're Colt McCoy now, you've got to take some shots at the end zone.
He's looking at a 2nd and 10 at the Oakland 25 with just under 2 minutes to play in this 4th quarter. Well, McCoy goes short range. Nice spin move by Little, refusing to go down, and has a first down. Giordano finally made the tackle. That's a 13-yard play, which Little was able to make on a short pass, and then he kept going. He's to the 12, first down.
Man, there's got to be more of a sense of urgency here. There's too much standing around. Let's get the ball snapped. Comes pressure.
McCoy throws, end zone, and overthrows Benjamin Watson, the intended receiver.
Boy, you've got a chance here that you get the perfect look. You get the blitz. Watch Benjamin Watson, the left of your screen. You've got him. He beats the safety to the corner. Just give him one. Don't throw it out of the back of the end zone. Oh, that's one he'd love to have back. That is always 3 or 4 in every game, but boy, you've got to be able to set your feet and make those throws.
McCoy, 19 of 39, 196 yards. Again, a lot of passes. 2 weeks ago against the Titans, 61. And this will be number 40, which is incomplete.
Well, Colt McCoy is going to be pretty sore tomorrow. He has been getting knocked around. Even when he's been able to throw the ball, it seems like he's getting knocked to the ground. You can put a whole package of plays together, and they're bringing blitz, and you see Richard Seymour right there. And it's not the guy you want falling on you. All 6'6", 315 pounds.
And Rich, he's thrown 16 of his 40 passes here in the fourth quarter.
That's too many. Talked about 61 the last time they played, and here comes more pressure.
3rd and 10. McCoy to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Mohamed Massaquoi with the touchdown catch. 12-yard pass play, his second TD of the season.
Well, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, and this is, they brought so much pressure. Eventually, you're going to lose one of these battles, and I think Chuck Bresnahan, the defensive coordinator, got a little greedy, continuing to bring pressure, and eventually Pat Shurmur is going to call max protect, let his quarterback set his feet, and throw one in the end zone. Now you get an onside kick after this to get the ball back. Down just 1 score.
Browns with a late substitution to set up this extra point try for Dawson. Low snap, and the kick did not look pretty, but it went through.
That's a great job by the kicker. Unbelievable. Phil Dawson. It's a bad snap, and he doesn't panic. This is what you get with a veteran kicker. You can see they struggle with the snap, a low snap from the center, and Brad Maynard struggling with it. Look at Dawson. He just kind of takes a double hop there and still finds a way to muscle it through.
Ryan Pontryagin is the long snapper, 2-time Pro Bowler in that department. But as you say, Dawson did a nice job. Tonight begins with Scott Pelley's eye-opening report from Afghanistan on 60 Minutes, followed by a new Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and then CSI Miami. That's tonight only, CBS. Now the Browns do have 2 timeouts left. Raiders have 1 with 1:06 to play in this fourth quarter. And as badly as the Browns have played, they're down by a touchdown.
Yeah, I want you to think back to a Friday about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were at the Browns facility. We saw this guy right here, Phil Dawson, working on these onside kicks. He's very good. It'll skip a couple times, and it'll jump up in the air. And these are tough ones to handle. Ooh, there it is.
It is recovered by the Browns. Inside the Raider 45, it's James Dockery, rookie from Oregon State, who is usually the dime back.
Well, they do a great job. First it starts with the kicker. Watch this thing bounce. It actually gets hit there by Cribbs, I believe. And look at Dockery. He's right there to make the play. Big plays today in the kicking game for both teams. Josh Cribbs almost catches that in the air. What a great effort.
Clock to 1:05. First down, Cleveland.
All right, they reset the clock with 1:05 to go. And we're told that's the Browns' first successful onside kick since 2009. It's not exactly Asian history, but it is the first in a couple of years.
We talked to Colt McCoy yesterday after that Saturday walkthrough, and these are the plays and these are the situations in the game that they walk through.
And they're taking another look upstairs. They're checking if Cribbs perhaps touched it too early before it went the 10 yards.
Oh yeah, that one's coming back. See, Josh Cribbs almost catches it in the air. No, he definitely touches it. I think it goes over the top of that right forearm. And that's because what you can see is after it hits his arm, it bounces up in the air a little bit, looks like. Watch Cribbs, he's just gonna dive for it right there. I think it definitely touches him. You can't touch it before that 10-yard buffer.
Tough to tell from that angle, I don't know.
Well,
might have gone past the outstretched arm of Cribbs. And then the recovery by Dockery. In the final 2 minutes of the first half and at the end of the game, it is an automatic booth review. The coaches do not have to use a challenge. Question is, what they see in the booth is what we just saw enough to reverse the call.
Well, it happens so fast. That's even in slow motion. It's hard to tell. You can't tell whether or not, it doesn't look like the ball, in terms of the rotation, it changed all that much.
All right, here's a look in regular speed. See if you get a better view.
You know, these officials have such tough jobs, and here we are up in the booth. Marv, we're looking at 3 or 4 different angles, and we can't tell. So you wonder how that replay official, how he can figure it out. And again, if it's not conclusive, then the Browns are going to be very fortunate and get the ball back with a chance to tie this thing up.
All right, here comes Carl Cheffers.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Cleveland.
As you say, it was not conclusive. Very tough to tell. And the Browns have it with a chance to tie the game with 1:05 left. 2 timeouts remaining for Cleveland. And now the crowd coming alive.
Plenty of time here, as you said, Marv, and now it's 4-down territory. The things that Colt McCoy can't do are take a sack. Got to throw it away.
Caught by Cribbs. They want him in the open field. Picked up 7. Clock is running. It'll be a 2nd and 3 at the Oakland 42. We're down to 45 seconds to play. And McCoy with a bullet underneath, incomplete. That'll stop the clock. It was intended for Little.
Number 24, Michael Hunt with coverage.
40 seconds remaining
3rd and 3
in the 4th quarter.
from the 42.
Colt McCoy looking at a 3rd down and 3.
It's amazing they're even in this game. You know, as bad as they've played offensively, they find themselves in a position to tie it up. Incredible.
Cribbs to the left, Little in the slot to the left. McCoy's pass. Benjamin Watson attempting to make that catch, but it's incomplete.
No, those are the throws you've got to make. You got your tight end running open across the formation, and you see Benjamin Watson. This is the matchup you want. Watson on Rolando McClain, but you can't miss him on the back shoulder.
So for the Browns, who are amazingly still in this game, and it comes down to this play with 33 seconds to go, it is a 4th down and 3. They're down by 7. Incomplete. Intended for Massaquoi. And Oakland will take over with 29 seconds left.
Well, you see this throw. Massaquoi is just coming back underneath. That ball goes back through him, and that's pretty good coverage there by Stanford Routt.
It is Oakland in possession at their 42 with only 29 seconds
Green 18.
And
Green 10.
they will take a knee. And that will wrap it. The Raiders go to 4-2. They've won 3 of their last 4. 4-2, their best record since Rich Gannon's days back in 2002. That's 2 straight wins since Al Davis passed away last weekend. And the Browns now 2-3. They have lost 2 in a row. They are last in the AFC North. Oakland now a half game behind San Diego for the lead in the AFC West. Thanks to our producer Ross Snyderman, director Mark Grant, statistician Mike Bazemore, our spotter J.D. Rutledge. For Rich Gannon, this is Marv Albert from Oakland tonight on CBS. It's 60 Minutes, followed by The Amazing Race, The Good Wife, and CSI Miami. A victory for the Raiders over the Browns. You've been watching the NFL.